these are not mental logs. They are the improved mental logs, which is somewhat ironic because the improvement that I'm going to be talking about is really not an improvement at all. It's actually another way of performing the trick, but you wouldn't do both versions together, so where's the improvement? So, if it's not an improvement, why am I making this video? Well, the reason I'm making this video is because even though there are several videos on YouTube right now discussing these mental logs, there is no video that I found that shows another way of performing this. Okay, so there is an improvement, it's just not the improvement that they're talking about here in the directions. So, if you're unfamiliar with the mental logs, let's talk about them real quick. Okay, you have these 4 blocks, each with numbers, different numbers on each side. Okay, you ask the participant to arrange them in whatever order they'd like, and you are able to give them the total of all 4 sets of numbers. As you can see, there is a 4-digit number followed by another 4-digit number and then another and then another. So 4 4-digit numbers. And you instantly give them the total, okay, after they've spent a fair amount of time adding up all those numbers, okay? How does it work? Well, the key is in the other numbers that are on the sticks, okay, or these mental logs, okay? The 3rd set of numbers down, and as you can see, I've arranged the logs in the same order as here in the example, okay? The key is in the 3rd set of numbers. In this case, 6, 4, 5, 7, and again here, 6, 4, 5, 7, okay? To add up the total of all 4 sets of numbers, all you have to do is put a 2 in front. Hopefully you can read that +2 there. And then a -2 at the end, okay? That means you put the number 2 in front of the 6, and the -2 means you subtract 2 from 7 to get 5. What does that give you? Well, that gives you 2, 6, 4, 5, 5. So 26,455. And here it is. The total of this side is 26,455, okay? In case you're curious how it works, the other sets of numbers have all been arranged so that they are the equivalent of 20,000, right? So if you were to add up 7,984, 8,239, and 3,775, if you add up those 3 sets of numbers, you're going to get 19,998, okay? Or you can think of it as 20,000 minus 2, okay? Maybe you're seeing the connection now. 20,000, there's the 2, and subtracting 2 at the end, because it's really not 20,000, it's 19,998, okay? So that's how the math works out. The improvement that they're talking about here is a clever little feature which allows you to determine the total for the back of the mental logs, okay? Now that would seem impossible. How can I know the total for the numbers on the back if I can't see the numbers on the back? Well, the clue is here in the 2nd row of numbers, okay? But because it's the numbers on the reverse side of the mental logs, you have to read this number in reverse to get the total, okay? So 9328 in reverse, but again you have to remember to add the 2 at the beginning and subtract 2 at the end. And that's why we get a total of 29,326. 29326, because you're taking 2 away from the 8. Let's see if that's true. Is the back really going to add up to 29,326? Well, if we look at the bottom set of numbers, we put a 2 in front of the 9 and we subtract 2 from the 8 in that 3rd row. That gives us 29,326. So it does work. The problem is you wouldn't do both of those tricks together, because the second one really ruins the first one, right? The first trick is you performing speedy arithmetic and showing how quickly you can add up those numbers, and then you write down your prediction immediately, and it takes them time to put all the numbers in the calculator, and once they get the total, you jokingly say something like, hey, what took you so long? I got the total in 2 seconds, right? But if you do this trick after that one, well, it nullifies the first one, because obviously there's something about the number logs that's giving you the total. You didn't really do the arithmetic in your head that quickly. So I don't think you can do the two together. But as I promised, there is an improvement to the mental logs. And it's not really an improvement, it's just another feature of the logs that most people don't know about, and like I said, I haven't seen it on YouTube. So here's what it is. When I perform the mental logs, I usually start with 1, right? And I'll ask them to add up these numbers. And as you might be able to figure out, the total of these numbers is 24. How do I know that? Well, because you put a 2 at the beginning, and you subtract 2 from this number. So 2, 4, 24, okay? Then I have them do, then I say, that was a little too easy. Why don't you do 2 of the logs, right? Well, as you can see, this total would be 262, 262. That's not hard enough. Let's make it harder. So each time they're getting more and more impressed by your mental mathematics, okay? Oops. How about this set of numbers? Can you guess what that is? That would be 2,657. And last but not least, we add in all 4 sets of numbers. In this case, we've got what? 26,595. Okay? So that's the way it's typically performed. Okay? But here's the cool thing that you can do. You do not have to keep the logs aligned. See how they're all aligned? You can actually perform this with the logs staggered. So, something like that, for example. Okay? Hopefully you can see that on the video. Okay? And now you ask them to add up the numbers. Okay? And you're probably wondering, well, how can they add up those numbers because they're all weird? Well, as you can see, there are blank spaces, right? There is a blank space after the 7 here. So that first number would be the number 70. 7 and then a 0, right? The second number going down has a 0 in the front and then an 854. 0854. Well, that's just the number 854. That's followed by the number 7,399, followed by the number 8,567. Can you see what the next number is? Well, that would be 6,705, because you have to put a 0 in that blank spot. So 6705, that's 6,705. And how about the last number? Can you figure out what that is? It starts with a 3, but then there's what? 1, 0, 2, 0, 3 zeros after it because of all those blank spots. Well, that would be the number 3,000. Okay? So, since you've changed all those numbers, how would it be possible to make your prediction ahead of time? Well, the somewhat amazing thing is the total for these sets of numbers is exactly the same as the total of these sets of numbers. Now, you wouldn't think so, because once you stagger them like that, you get a bunch of different numbers, don't you? Okay? But it doesn't change the total. Okay? But by giving them the option to stagger those numbers, and you'll have to explain to them that the blank spots mean zeros, right? But that's your improvement. That's the second trick you can do. After you do it this way, you let them arrange the logs any way they want. Okay? Now, how does that work? Well, let's look at it with just 2 logs, right? Consider the numbers that you see: 74, 59, 97, 65. Watch what happens if I stagger them. Consider the numbers that I have now that they're staggered. I have a 0 in front of the 4, that's the number 4, followed by 79, followed by 57, followed by 95, and then a 0 here after the 6 would be the number 60. Okay? If you were to add up those numbers, it would be exactly the same as adding up these numbers. Why? Well, think about it. If I slide the 4 up, well, now I'm losing the 4, right? It's no longer next to the 7, but I'm not really losing it. It's still being added to my total, right? I'm just adding it in this row instead of down here, right? And how about the 6 down there, right? That 5 is supposed to come after the 6. That's supposed to be 65. Well, even if I bring the 5 up, I'm not losing the 60, am I? Because we're putting a 0 in there. So I still have 60, and all the other numbers are the same. Okay? So you wind up with the exact same total. And of course I'm showing it to you with just 2 logs, but you can do it with 3 or even 4 logs, and you'll get the same total. So anyway, that is the improvement with the mental logs. I hope that made sense, and if you have a set of these, I strongly encourage you to offer that option to the participant, because they will think it's a different trick even though it is the same method. Okay, now for those of you that are looking at these and saying, I don't own those and I don't think I'm going to spend the money to buy them, even though they're not very expensive, you can buy them pretty cheap. There is a way of doing these without the mental logs, okay, and achieving the same effect. So you can do this, as you see here, using just paper and pencil, okay? Instead of 4 sets of numbers, you'll wind up using 5 sets of numbers, but the idea is the same and the arithmetic is really the same. And I have a cheat sheet that I've created for a class that I teach, and I'll upload that at the end of the video. If you would like to be able to perform this effect without purchasing the mental logs, you can do it just with the pencil and paper, and like I said, it's really the same effect, it's just as impressive. So that's it. I hope that video was helpful for you, and if you have any questions, go ahead and just put them in the comments section.